Senator Rick Scott, we're here at this Turning Point event here in downtown Detroit, Michigan. Really critical election ahead of us. Can you lay out the stakes for us of this 2024 election, both the presidential race, Senate race, House majority at stake? Lay out the stakes for us. We'll get into some of the specifics.
Number one, we need to win the White House, the House, and the Senate. Here's why. First off, if we don't win the White House, the border is not going to get secure. That's number one. Number two is if we don't have all three, we're not going to get our spending under control. That means inflation never goes away. It gets worse and worse and worse. Interest rates will never come down. Okay. Next, if we don't want to have a woke military, a weak military, we got to have a president that cares about our military and a House and Senate that cares about our military. So you look at almost every issue we're dealing with, the wokeness of our military, inflation, interest rates, it's all going to be tied to winning these elections. So if you think about a poor kid like me, I grew up in public housing, was born to a single mom. I grew up in a country that my mom could legitimately say, you can be anything, right? If you can't afford to put food on the table, if you can't afford the rent, if you can't afford gas for your car, and you can't afford a car, it's not a great life. And that's exactly where this country is. So if we want to have opportunity for everybody, then we got to win these elections.
Okay, so this week we saw you, as well as all of your colleagues and the Republican colleagues in the Senate, meet with President Trump. It was a really historic meeting, I thought. It showed real serious party unity in an important moment. Talk to us about that meeting. What was it like in the room? What was it like talking with President Trump? What was his message to you guys?
It was unifying. First off, it's uplifting and unifying. President Trump is going to win. Now we all have to get out and do our part. We need to vote, get all of our friends to vote. We need to be poll watchers. We need to do all those things. But right now, I believe President Trump is going to win this election. But he's got to have a House and a Senate that's going to help him. He came together. He was very gracious to everybody. He talked about the things he wants to accomplish. Everybody's unified that we want to help him accomplish those things because it's a key to success for this country, and every family have an opportunity.
Okay, so tactically speaking, obviously in 2020 we came up short. The question now moving forward is, what is Donald Trump's path to 270 electoral votes? Can you lay that out for us? How does he get there? How does he flip a state like Michigan back? How does he flip a state like Wisconsin, where the Republican Convention will be a month from now?
Well, first off, everybody knows Biden's policies are bad. You know, Republican, Democrat, and Independent, they don't want an open border. They don't want more drugs. They don't want more criminals. They don't want more terrorists. That's number one. We've got to make sure everybody understands Biden is doing this. Biden had the opportunity to keep the border secure like Trump had it and decided not to. All right? So around the country, in every state, they're seeing the problems. They're seeing the fentanyl deaths. They're seeing the criminals that are coming. So that's number one. And everybody in this country is seeing inflation. And so I think just those two issues by themselves are going to mean Trump's going to win. Now, it's all still going to be key. We got to get out and vote. And right here, Turning Point, what they're talking about is all the grassroots effort, because that's really the key. In my race in 2018, I had to get more votes than Ted Cruz had to get in Texas. In Florida, much smaller state than Texas, right? Big state, but not as big as Texas. So how we did that, it was grassroots. We went, people got out, they got the vote out. So that's what we got to do to make sure we win.
Okay, so here at Turning Point, they're talking about chasing ballots, right? Like that's the big thing that they're zoning in on. They want to activate people to go out there and find. They've identified, if you listen to the Turning Point activists, they've identified millions across battleground states, states like Florida, where I know you've got a race this year, many other states, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, millions of Republican-leaning voters who didn't vote in 2016 or 2020. How do we get them engaged? How do we get them to the point where they are A, registered, and B, actually go vote?
Well, number one, we need to work with every candidate, every Republican candidate all across the country and help them maximize their turnout. Because guess what? If you want to win a statewide race, win all the local races, right? Because I'm going to get this, in my race, I'm up for election this year. I'm going to get the same number of votes, probably a little bit more because I'm better, I've been around, I've been doing this my fourth cycle, but I'll get the votes that a local Republican gets. So my goal is to help all Republicans win. We got to all come together and win county commission races and school board races and mayor races and state rep races and state senate races. So we got to win all these races and stay active. Win every race we can. And the way you do that is you go get every voter you can. You talk to everybody. Every candidate's got to talk to everybody. I've probably shaken hands in the last 13 years with 850,000 people in Florida.
Okay, so you've done this several times. You've run statewide. You've won several times. You've run 2 successful governor campaigns, Senate race. You've got another one coming up here. The fact is, what would be your advice to some of these newer candidates we're seeing? We're seeing the Republican nominations getting set across the country in key battleground states. Bernie Moreno in Ohio, Sheehy in Montana. Sam Brown just won in Nevada. He's the nominee there. What would be your advice to these guys? How do they go out there and they win their races in their states?
So the first thing you do is think about it. You know how you win an election? You get more votes. So you got to get out there and talk to as many voters as you can. You got to look them in the eye. You got to tell them exactly what you're going to do. What is your plan to improve their lives? People are going to vote because you're going to improve their life. It's not about your race, it's about their life. And so, are you going to help them get a better job? Are you going to make sure inflation's under control? Are you going to make sure if their kid's going to go in the military, it's not going to be a woke military? Are you going to try to keep us out of forever wars? All these things, because that's going to improve that person's life. So you need to be talking to them. You need to look at them. You need to talk to people, and you need to talk to everybody. They'll talk to you. Everybody. Go into every neighborhood, every place you can go. Talk to everybody you can.
When you see an event like this, right, like that, again, it's in Detroit. This is a blue city in a battleground state. Not necessarily a Republican city here, right? Like, so to see conservatives and Republicans coming into a place like Detroit to bring this message here, obviously the Republican Convention's in Milwaukee, similar type of a situation. Is that promising to you? Do you think the Republicans are doing the right thing here?
Absolutely. You look at the energy right now. I've traveled the country. I'm traveling around my state. I'm going to be in every county. I've got 67 counties. By July 2nd this year, I'll be in every county in my state, talking to voters. I talk to everybody, right? And I did that the same thing when I was governor. So yeah, you go around this country, there's unbelievable energy. There's energy because guess what? People know that the Biden agenda is a bad agenda. They know the country is on the wrong track. They know the borders shouldn't be open. They know we shouldn't have inflation. They know we shouldn't have a woke military. So you look at all these issues that we're talking about every day, they know this is persecution of Donald Trump is wrong. And so what we've got to do is get out and tell them what we're going to do to change it.
All right, and Senator, the last thing I would ask you is that, okay, we're the U.S. Senate breakdown right now, 49-51, right? 51 for the Democrats, 49 for the Republicans. Lay out the pathway for us. How do Republicans retake that majority in the chamber, retire Chuck Schumer, make him the minority leader, no longer the majority leader?
So number one, the 2 hardest races to win of incumbents, the only 2 hard races are my race and Ted Cruz race. So we've got to win Texas and we've got to win Florida. Now, I think Ted and I are both going to win because we're working hard. We have a lot of grassroots support. We're raising money. It'll be hard, but we're going to win. I think it's clear that we'll get West Virginia. Now, that puts us at 50-50. Now, in a Trump presidency, then we'll have control of the Senate. Biden presidency, we don't. All right. So we've got to get to 51. I think you could argue which one that we should get, either Ohio or Montana, but those are both winnable. They're both winnable. John Tester, Trump's going to win Ohio, and Trump's going to win Montana, I think, decisively. So if our candidates there, Bernie Moreno, it looks like, and Tim Sheehy, if they run good races, I think we're going to win those 2. We have the same. Sam Brown's got a big opportunity in Nevada, against Jackie Rosen. I think Trump's going to win Nevada. Trump's going to win Arizona. So Kerry Lake's got a big opportunity there. And there's a lot of other places: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. There's all sorts of places we have a shot. Now, I think it's going to be incumbent that Trump does well. Now, the way for Trump to do well is we do well in every local race.
And that alliance, if you will, between Senate Republicans and President Trump, just to bring things full circle here of what we were talking about, really seems to have been what was on display this week, right? Like, everybody in the party understands this, right? We saw this in 2016. All the states where Republican Senate candidates stood with Trump all the way through the election, even through the tough times, they both won, right? Like, so if everybody sticks together this time, everybody wins.
That's right. We all have to stick together. We've got to, and we need to make sure everybody understands this political persecution of Donald Trump. If they can do it to the ex-president and the leading Republican candidate, can they do it to you? So if you don't want that to continue, you've got to elect Donald Trump.